Coming to the agenda of the session, we'll start out by checking out a quick introduction to IoT and we'll understand why we require IoT. After that, we'll take a quick overview on how IoT works and the architecture of it as well. And lastly, we'll check out the applications and the usage of the Internet of Things. And last but not the least, we'll check out my final thoughts on this session. To start out with, let me ask you this. Did you know that by the time you pretty much read everything on your screen right now, by the time you saw that tiny animation, there are 4,000 new devices which connected to the internet just now. So all in total, there are 50 billion devices that are connected to the internet worldwide today. And in the internet rush era, everyone wants to get into the internet today, right? So be it, attaining new information, be it into using your internet as a marketplace, as an entertainment place, so if you want any new information, you're reading something, you want to learn something, master your new IT skills, for example, you will come to the internet. And then if you want to sell something, if you want to become an e-retailer or anything like that, you will come to the internet as well. And then if you're looking for some entertainment, be it Netflix or any other music source, TV watching source or whatever it is, you will come to the internet. So you realize that we can actually validate why 50 billion devices across the world are actually connected to the internet today. And on that note, if these many devices are connected to the internet, how best can one make use of it? And this brings us to the quick introduction to IoT. When we talk about IoT, the first thing we need to discuss is what is IoT? Well, IoT is basically an interconnected web of objects, and these objects in our case are called as things, hence Internet of Things. So basically these things, the objects that we talk about, are guided with sensors, they have software present, they have a lot of hardware, and all of these combine together to achieve one single purpose, to achieve one single goal. So there are multiple goals of IoT and we'll be covering in the next part of the session as well. So whenever you think of Internet of Things, whenever you think of anything IoT, the first thing that might come into your mind is all the hardware and the software which works in coordination to make it work. So why do we require IoT in today's world? We have 50 billion devices connected to the web. So in today's world, we need to understand that with these many devices connected, there is a lot of data being generated, right? So there's zettabytes, there's petabytes, and whatever is the new term for 10 power x, where x can be 15, 20. So when this much amount of data is being generated every day, we understand that by using data science, we can make use of these data to drive our capability better to take nicer decisions, to take decisions which will help in the short term and the long term as well. So with respect to IoT, with IoT we have more data, and now we can club it in with the right software and the hardware to make better decisions. So the next thing is smart healthcare. With respect to IoT, when we talk about smart healthcare, it's all about your well-being to the best, where you can use the latest bit of hardware and software which is available to you to probably let your doctors know, to let your physicians know about your current health conditions, current well-being and whatnot, even if they're not physically present with you. And all you need to do is have these devices at hand and ensure that you have an active internet connection, and you will have the access to the entire world of smart healthcare. And the next thing is convenience and automation. So with respect to IoT, you can change all the mundane tasks done by humans and basically make everything smart and convenient for the people. So what this does is this ensures that your workforce, your population will basically put in their time and efforts to the tasks that are more productive, that are more qualitative, and at the end of the day which drive more insights to your business. And of course, if you have smart wearable technology, if you're building smart cities, if you have a smart home and everything smart, at the end of the day, it increases the quality of your life totally, right? So you can open your door by sitting at your office by the click of a button on your phone. For example, if you have guests at home. So most of the time, it so happens that we're at work and there's a delivery package at our home, and 90% of the time, either we leave it with our neighbors or we ask for a next day delivery. Well, with the use of IoT, you can actually ensure that you can have a small separate box which opens at your command, and at the end of the day, you can have these parcels and packets sent into that box, and then you can later lock it remotely and whatnot. Well, the one thing you need to know about IoT is that the absolute endless hunt for making things smart. Everything from smartwatches, as I just mentioned, to smart shoes, to basically anything you can think of. So it can be a smart health tracker, whatever it is. If it is associated with the word smart, there is a 70% probability that it includes something to do with the Internet of Technology. So now coming to IoT as a career, well, these are among the 4 most important reasons of why you should consider IoT to be your career. The first thing is that it is among the top 10 jobs in the entirety of this decade. It was in the top 10 jobs for the last decade, and it has been projected it's going to remain in a higher spot at this decade as well. So make sure to check out the Intellipaat's video on the top 10 jobs for this decade to know more about this. Now, coming to business requirements, in today's world, everyone wants their problems to be solved at the quickest. With respect to IoT, there is this demand and supply created where the demand is high while the supply is less. And just for this one particular reason, if you jump on the IoT trend train, you can make a very good career out of it. And of course, we live in the mobile era, right? So for 80% of our tasks during the entirety of the day, we look at our mobiles for it. Be it browsing the internet, be it ordering food, be it getting into a meeting, whatever it is. So we are in the mobile era. So we are a generation of mobile users who are basically achieving goals and feats which could have not been done probably 10 years before now, and even 20 years ago. This would have just been fiction, right? And of course, another important reason is that IoT is a one-stop solution to everything. Be it recycling, be it green energy, be it your health monitoring, be it smart cycles, be it your working environment being smart, be it power saving, whatever it is. So we can go on and name unlimited number of applications on why IoT should be a very good career path for you guys. And of course, at the end of the day, it is an amazing career path. And then when we have to talk about how IoT actually works, well, IoT works on 5 main principal components. One, it's the hardware. Hardware consists of all of the sensors, the actuators, and everything which form the actual devices, the part of the sensing layer, which we'll just check out in the architecture. And then comes the software. When we have to talk about software, you will be writing custom code and custom programming concepts where you'll be helping this hardware talk to the internet. And of course, if you have to make a software talk to the internet, you actually need access to the internet. And this is where there's the protocol layer, where you'll be actually making your software and hardware connected to each other via the internet. And then when you think about it, when you're on the internet, you need some security. So defining security protocols to ensure that your softwares, your hardwares, and in fact the entirety of your IoT device is safe, the security protocols are very much important. And then of course, after all of this is done, your device is ready. Now you need a way to control this. To control all of this, you can make use of your computer, you can make use of your mobile, and at the end of the day, anything that's connected to the internet can have access to this. So here is where you'll have your application, here is where you'll have your dashboard, here is where basically you'll have the controlling entity to go on, make changes, use your IoT device and everything else. So if we have to talk about the IoT stack, the first thing that we need to talk about is when we say Internet of Things, the thing is basically the goal object. So this thing is the entity, is the asset that we want to control. It can be the device which we want to monitor as well. So to do this, we understand the first step is to have a thing. So after we get the thing that we want to control and monitor, we need to provide it with some data. So in the data acquisition stage, we ensure that we get a signal and we make the software talk to the hardware by converting the software from an analogous format, which is basically the result of the input and the outputs of the hardware, and convert all of this into a digital format. After the data has been converted into a digital format and read by the software, well, to combine and use this software with data present everywhere, you need to have access to data processing methodologies. With respect to data processing methodologies, you have data analytics, data processing techniques, and of course, if you've analyzed data, if you've processed data, you need a place to store it. There comes data storage. And of course, at the end of it, you need a communication module where your devices can either communicate on a local network, or they can communicate via a cloud network or any other third-party network communication systems as well. So the stack begins by having a goal thing, then we have the data acquisition. After acquiring the data, we perform data processing, and after data processing, we have the communication module where your IoT device can talk to a network stack all in all. And of course, if you're talking about IoT device management, we have 4 important things we need to cover. There's notifications, security updates, data reports, and data updates as well. With respect to notifications, every time there is a change in your IoT device, every time there is a change in the network or the behavior of your device, the user or the person who's programming it must have a notification. And of course, security updates are something very important because your devices will be connected to a network. When it's connected to a network, and especially to the internet, people with malign intent are present everywhere. To make sure that your device does not succumb to this, we need to provide security updates as well. And of course, data reports are a process of either debugging your IoT devices or ensuring that it is a goal. For example, if you are wearing a smart watch, so getting the data reports is the goal. How much what is the number of kilometers that you have run, what is the GPS position of you when you were running, what was the inclination, probably what was your heartbeat, and much more, right? So these data reports can be the goals in most of the cases, which is very important. And then we have the general data updates, where every second your IoT device has to have an interval where it keeps shuffling through the data and it keeps generating new information based on this data. Let's consider the run example again. Let's say you're running around a track, and now do you want the data to be collected every single second? Do you want the data to be collected and analyzed every 10 seconds, 20 seconds? Right. So you get the picture. This is where you set an interval of data updates, where these updates are taken in by IoT devices, processing is done, and later the data is pushed to the dashboard as well. So how does data communicate when you talk about IoT? The data movement in any IoT devices is basically based on these 6 concepts: Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cellular mobile internet, and then we have the RFID, which is basically the radio frequency identification. Then we have NFC, which is near field communication, and the radio frequency tower communications as well. So basically these 6 are different protocols all in all together, where some are near field communication devices and some are far field, where they do have a particular range. For example, Wi-Fi will have a greater range than Bluetooth, and you will get a cellular connection in most of the places today because there are cell towers everywhere, there are RF towers, and with NFC, for example, your devices have to be in close companion together to basically achieve this sort of communication. And then you have RFID readers as well. So when you think about the ways your IoT device can communicate, the way you can program your IoT device to communicate well. So as you can see on your screen, there are 6 major protocols that you can work with, and with the combination of all of these, your IoT device can become extremely powerful. And of course, what are the interactions that goes on in the world of IoT? So the first thing is basically people-to-people interaction, where a couple of people are sitting together, deciding on the goal, deciding on what needs to be done, what is the task at hand, what is the problem at hand, and how they can solve it. And after this is done, people to computer interaction happens, where a person is an IoT developer and he's programming the hardware to basically talk to the software. There will be another software engineer who will collaborate with this hardware programmer. So at the end of the day, your people computer interaction is all about making your IoT device ready and be ready to connect to the internet. And of course, after that is done comes the machine and the data interaction. With respect to machine and the data interaction, your IoT device or your programming arena must have the capability of processing data, pre-processing data, analyzing data, and even storing data. So after all of this is done, there comes your data machine interaction, where your data is fed into your IoT device. And for example, it might not be data being fed into IoT device as well. It can be the data from the IoT device where it's reporting and generating data for you too. So as you can see, the 4 main important interactions that take place in the world of IoT is key in understanding how one can go from the first stage of generating a plan, creating a device, all the way till ensuring that your data and your machine can talk to each other. When we're talking about, again, Internet of Things, the word internet will grab a lot of attention, especially with respect to privacy, especially with respect to how it can be secure. So there are 3 main things when you talk about IoT security measures. And the first thing is, you should be writing a program, you should be making your device to be practically impenetrable. So if this is the case, no one will have access to your device who is unauthorized and someone who has malign intents for it. And after that, ensuring that your data is secure, ensuring that your data input, your data parameters, and everything corresponding to that whenever you're working with your IoT device is secure. This will basically form the entire foundation of ensuring that your IoT protocol, your IoT network is safe. And then in this evolving world that we live in, as fast as good things evolve, well, people with bad intentions also update at the same time. So it's key. It's one of the most important things in the world of IoT to basically keep the softwares to the late. So to basically provide on-time updates, to stay 1 step, 2 steps, 10 steps ahead of all of these people with negative intentions. With that, we can take a quick look at the IoT architecture. There are 4 important layers when you're working with IoT, and we can begin from the bottom-up approach. In the first layer, we have the sensing layer. Sensing layer is where you actually have your actuators, you have your sensors, and you have your entities which can actually sense something. For example, you might have a gas leakage detector, you might have a light sensor, you might have a camera which can pick up motion, and you can have an entity which can sense temperature around you and all of these. So you're getting the point here. And even a heartbeat sensor. I hope you're getting the point in the sensing layer. So all of these sensing layers have one specific task that they can do. Now, to make these talk to other layers of the task, you need one important layer, which is the second layer. It's the network layer. As we discussed in the protocol section, it might be via Bluetooth, it might be via Wi-Fi, it might be via communications of near field as well, be it RFID, be it NFC, and even cellular mobile internet. So once you make your sensing layers talk to these communications protocols will basically connect your sensing layer to the data processing layer. In the data processing layer, it's considered to be so the data processing layer is considered to be the heart of an IoT device, because it will take all the information from these sensing devices and it will process this by making use of a CPU, by making use of a graphical processing unit, be it a tensor processing unit, and be it a niche specific unit which can analyze your sensors. So this, in coordination with the network layer, will ensure that your sensor layer is working fine. It can be So the data processing layer also has the ability to debug your sensing layer. It has the ability to work with and update your sensing layer software and much more. Coming to the application layer is basically the usage of everything that's been done in the previous three layers. Now, be it taking your data to the cloud, creating a dashboard, creating an API key where you can use this somewhere, or creating a portable smart watch where you can access all of these data through the watch as well. Now, we've seen the feat of smart watches in today's world. The watch, there are top providers of this, and these are some of the most classic examples of where IoT can be put into full use. Be it your smartwatches, be it anything else which can be a safety hazard issue. For example, taking your data to the clouds, monitoring your programs from anywhere across the world, having connectivity to all of your IoT apps at an instant on your mobile phones. And these form a very, very important aspect of the application layer, because at the end of the day, all the backend is controlled by the below three layers, and the application layer is the front end where you will be in constant interaction with your IoT device. So to add to that, so what are some of the top applications of IoT? When you can think about IoT, again, head to the comment section at this particular point of the video to let us know what your thoughts are and where you think IoT is completely fit for, where it's a staunch requirement in today's world as well. Coming to the first most important application of IoT, I think it's in the field of agriculture. So in today's world of agriculture, we can provide everything to the farmers that they need to basically step up their game in producing crops as well. So it can be water monitoring systems, it can be soil parameter monitoring systems, it can be automated systems of cultivating crops or whatever it is. So keeping the agricultural sector updated, so keeping the agricultural sector connected to the rest of the world via the internet, and ensuring that they get everything that they require to create smart products and putting these smart products to use. Well, that's everything about IoT, and of course with respect to agriculture, without which none of us can survive, without which we cannot be here right now. So this forms to be the number one application, in my opinion, of IoT. Coming to the second important application of IoT, it's in healthcare. Of course, again, just as important as agriculture, just as important as crops, health is the next best thing. So health is the thing which takes priority over everything else, right? So consider this situation. Let's say you are away from your doctor, but you do have access to the internet. In the future sense, you can pop a tiny pill, and this pill will basically have a trans receiver which can talk to your mobile device, which is connected to the IoT, so which is connected to the network layer, and through which your doctor can check out certain aspects, certain parameters of what's happening with your body through the pill that you just ate. Your physician might be thousands of miles away from you, and it wouldn't matter because it would be 90% similar in a situation where the physician would be right next to you as well. Of course, in the world of healthcare, IoT is booming and IoT is being put to use every single day. There are new aspects, there are new items, and when you think about it, there are new prospects which are generated with respect to healthcare every single day. So I was reading about performance enhancements where IoT is being implemented, where you could think about heart monitoring systems, which are not these hefty devices that you wear, but pretty much a single pill that you can swallow again. So when you think about healthcare, the number of applications, the number of devices that one can think of and one can create in the near future is exemplary. So coming to the next most important application of IoT, it's smart homes. Well, I personally make use of a smart smart home with a lot of IoT devices connected. For example, if it's my house lighting, it's automated. The outdoor lighting is automated. My aquarium lighting systems are automated, and we do have a baby monitor at the house as well. So when you think about it, you can do a lot of things. Everything from keeping your door lock to be smart, ensuring the GPS location of everyone in the house. You can have a thermostat to automatically control the temperature. You can have automated lighting, as I just mentioned, automated camera tracking. You can have a smart lawn which can water itself whenever it feels like it is dry enough so that it requires water. You can have an automated smart cooktop which can control the temperature, be it live tracking of all of your vehicles and parcels or whatever it is. And of course, in today's world where water is a strong requirement, you can ensure you can put smart devices under your water taps where you can continuously track and monitor water usage as well. And then you can go on to name another 20 to 30 easy applications of IoT, and at the end of the day, 90% of all of these are being implemented in today's world. So whenever you look around you, you will see an usage of IoT somewhere. So with the application of smart homes, so if there are smart homes being used everywhere, think about the end goal, think about the bigger picture. So basically this generates and creates smart cities around the world. With respect to smart cities, basically it's a combination of smart homes and multiple other features like keeping a database of, for example, all the people who use electric cars, and ensuring that you can create one single network where everyone can have access to their smart goodies and their smart products, which is powered by the world of Internet of Things. Well, on that, here is my final thoughts. So at this point of time, you might be wondering if I require any sort of fancy hardware to work with IoT. Well, the answer is no. When you're working with IoT, all your hardware can be very simply acquired through the internet. Most of it doesn't even cost much as well. And another note is that make sure that you stay safe in this moment of temporary quarantine and social distancing measures that we are taking, and jump on the IoT trend train and basically work on your dreams, because IoT is booming and I would want all of you to jump on this trend and make use of it the fullest. On that note, you have reached the end of the session.